Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Give everybody a chance to tap in with the kid before we start building on the subject matter for the day. Hopefully, y'all having a powerful Thursday thus far, man. Y'all starting the month of March off on a positive, productive, efficient, positive, powerful note. Give y'all about 5-6 minutes to tap in with the kid before we start building, man. I got about an hour or so to chop it up with y'all, man. So hopefully y'all got about that amount of time to listen to this build and add on and all that good stuff, man. So let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Thursday before we dive into this subject matter, man. Y'all see what it is. You know, we talking about being lame and corny, you know, whatever that may mean to folks. You know, people define these terms differently. You know, this stuff is kind of subjective at the end of the day in regards to what people find as lame and corny, you know. So we gonna break it down. FH Peace, Queen, what's happening? Magic Peace, David Peace, what's happening? Serpent X Peace, what's the word? What's happening? You know, shout out to all the corny and lame folk, you know. At this stage in the game, that's pretty much a compliment, you know. I ain't striving to be some cool dude, you know, in my 30s, man. I'm striving to stay out the way. I'm striving to stay low key, you know, so I'm cool with it. You know, if I ever get labeled lame and corny at this stage in my life, then I'm living right. That's how I look at it. Patrick Peace, what's happening? You know, you label me lame and corny at this stage in my life, I feel like I'm living right. That means I'm out the way. That means I'm handling business. You know what I'm saying? Like that means I'm handling business or something. But again, like I said, I wouldn't even label myself lame and corny. That's why, you know, that's why I put it the way that I put it in regards to the title. You know, I figure the stuff that, like back in the day when girls would call you lame, like I view the stuff that they was attracted to as lame. So that's my perspective. Matter of fact, I had to go back and forth with somebody, you know what I mean? Because I called some men lame for certain actions, you know, abandoning your children. See, that's lame to me. Those are lame activities to me. You know, bragging about killing another brother. That's corny and that's lame to me. You know what I mean? Like that's the lame stuff to me. You know, pimping these women out, seeing how many you can sleep with, having foul intentions with them. That stuff is lame and corny to me. That's what's lame. That's what's corny to me. You know, so when we start talking about lame and corny and all that, we got to define that. You got to ask the person that's using the terms how they view these terms. You know, Colleen MC, peace. What's happening? Peace, everybody. Roy, peace. Hey, Illuminati Bell. Only a few people know that joint. Airview, peace. What's happening? Arby, peace. Dominique, peace. What's going on? Everything is peaceful my way. It's all good. Magic for sure. You know, so I'll be having to ask people to break down what does it even mean to be lame and corny. You know, back in the day, like back when I was like in middle school and things like that, when you got called lame, you was basically smart. You know, when you was lame and corny as a boy back in middle school when I was growing up, when they called you lame and corny, you was basically smart. You know, you was book smart, you did all your work, you got good grades in class, and you wasn't really out here getting into trouble, like getting into fights like that and things of that nature. Sometimes that got labeled you as lame and corny. You know, so I don't know when people call people lame and corny, like back when I was growing up, that's the type of young man that was associated with being called lame and corny. A studious young man that was focused on his schoolwork, trying to get the good grade and wasn't really out here in all type of nonsense in the streets and whatnot. That young man typically got lame, corny, and typically got labeled corny and lame. And of course, to me, that's incorrect. That's the cool cat right there. That's the cool cat. Goldie, peace, what's happening? Mark, peace, what's happening? See, though, I know a dude that think it's feminine to try to be in your kid's life. He justify being a deadbeat. And see, that's lame, that's corny. You know what I mean? Like, that's lame and that's what I would call lame and corny. All this other stuff getting labeled as lame and corny is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like when you are rather stay at home and read and study opposed to going to a club and somebody calls you lame for that, that's not lame, man. You know, That ain't lame at all. But we could all universally agree that a dude thinking it's feminine to be in his kid's life to justify being a deadbeat, we could all universally agree that that right there is lame. That right there is corny. We can all universally agree on that. You know, but a man saying, you know what, man, I don't feel like going to the club. What we going to the club for? Like, we could just stay at home and we could just, you know what I'm saying, we could chill, read, whatever the case may be. That ain't lame in my eyes. You know, if that's considered lame, then I'm the lamest person on the planet. Bro, they it's they always have a hard time giving definitions for that. Because first of all, the moment you use the term real nigga, you have lost me because nigga don't apply to me. I don't refer to myself as that. So the moment you say something about a real nigga, you have now lost. I'm disqualified from that. I don't fit that description at all because I don't use that term to label myself at all. You've never heard me refer to myself as that. So that's always funny when you start asking them that, you know? But for real, like, hey, if me choosing to educate myself and all of that is lame and corny, like I'm don't want to go to the clubs all the time, like don't want to do any of that nonsense. I'd rather be studious, stay at the crib, stay low key, keep a low profile. If that's the universal definition of corny and lame, then best believe I will embrace that. You not hurting my feelings. You know what I mean? You not hurting my feelings. I'd rather be lame and corny and stay alive than be cool and end up dead, having to watch my back 24/7, be paranoid all the time. Like I'd rather be lame and corny and out the way, preserving my life, than be cool and have all this attention on me and me having to watch my back 24/7. I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm cool with it. You ain't offending me. You not offending me at all. Thunder Peace, what's happening? Brandon, for sure. You know, you know, the crazy thing about my life is I've always growing up, like I ain't never really get that label much because I feel like I was like, I don't know what it was. Maybe I was balanced. I was just cool with everybody all the time, you know. So I was cool with all. I was cool with the folks that got the label lame predominantly. I was cool with the dudes that was out here doing the nonsense. Like I was in the middle, you know, so I was able to adapt and adjust to either side. Like I could hang with the lame nerds, so to speak, and fit right in with them, have conversations with them. Then I could go hang around the street dudes and be just as good. You know, so I had that balance about myself. So I avoided that label until I started to get older. You know what I'm saying? Once I got like out of high school and wanted to become studious and read all the time, then that's when people was like, man, what do we on, man? That's lame. That's lame ain't the term that I probably would get. It'd be more like boring because I had stopped dealing with the clubs and things like that, man. That lifestyle was dead. I was doing all of that in high school, so I burnt out. That life was not fascinating to me. Like I was burnt out on the club life to this day. Like I don't even understand how I be dealing with folks that be like 40 and 50 and they always having to go out to the club. Like, man, that lifestyle died very quickly with me. And that stuff got you labeled boring because you just wanted to do simple things. You might go catch a flick, go out to eat, back to the crib, chop it up. You know, be a man of conversation. I'm trying to see where your mind is at. Like, I don't care about all these other things. Like, they distractions. You know, when you when you go to the movies with somebody, you can't really have a conversation with them. You know what I'm saying? When y'all at the club, when you go to a club, you can't have conversations with folk. You know, so when I get you to a spot where we can have conversations like that, that's it. That's the lick right there. You know, so that's when I had started reading and stuff like that. I was more concerned with that. Like, man, where can we go to talk, have a conversation? Like, I ain't trying to be distracted. I need to know where your mind is at. You know, so that right there get you labeled boring, all because you trying to figure out the mind of this chick sometimes. They ain't like that a lot of times. Like, hold up, you know, we need to go, we need to be somewhere where we can be distracted. So you won't be tapping into my mind. So you can see how shallow this mug may be, you know? So I was like, nah, I ain't trying to do all that, man. I'm trying to see what the conversation is about. And I know that's surprising some of y'all coming from like an introvert, but like when you're an introvert, man, that's what you got to be on, man. You got to see the type of mind you're dealing with because you know what type of person you are. You know, you got as an introvert, man, you got to be with somebody that, all right, if I'm not gonna be going out, I got to be able to tolerate having conversations with them or being around them. Because the introvert, you're not gonna be trying to go out that often. You know, so you got to vet the mind state of these folks. Roy, for sure. You know what I'm saying? For sure. I'm a bunch of things before I'm any type of nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm a bunch of things before I'm any type of that. I tell you that much right now. Chaz, peace. What's happening? Chris, Pete, Montel, peace to everybody that's tapping in. Peace. Chris, my brother, appreciate that donation. You say I embrace being a lane. To me, that is intelligent and stable. I'm not trying to be like the normal. I'm trying to excel 100%. You know, so if that's the consensus in regards to what lame is, like a dude that's trying to stay out the way, then hey, best believe I'm that. And hey, sisters, you better get you a lame and corny dude. Because again, we gonna be out the way. You better get you a boring dude because we not gonna bring any drama to ourselves because we trying to stay out the way. We're not trying to deal with people. We're not trying to deal with drama. So you might want to get you one of that. You might want to get you one of them. You might want to get you one of them for sure. You might want to get you one of them for sure. Niecy, peace, what's happening? But you know, things was interesting. Like I said back in the day, like I never really got that title thrown on me because, like I said, I was like balanced. Like I wasn't really the, you know, I was book smart up until I got to high school, started tripping. But I never, you know, I wasn't never all the way in it like that. But I wasn't all the way in the street life neither. Like I just hung with everybody, so I never really got any of those labels growing up, like lame and all that type of stuff. Plus, I was, you know, in the athletics and all of that. So that's another thing, you know, you if you a jock or anything like that, then that label don't get slapped on you. So I ain't never get it until I decided to get older. Until I decided to get older, till I got older and started reading and stuff like that. You know, and at the end of the day, it's like when people use these terms, it's almost like, and this is how I be breaking it down too. That's why I said this stuff is like it's subjective, it's relative at the end of the day. You know, it's almost like having certain conversations and you throw your opinion out there and people say that you hating when really at the end of the day is your opinion. You know, so a lot of times, man, when I was dealing with certain individuals back in the day, and you had conversations with them and they would label you basically the lifestyle's not matching. You know what I mean? Like that's all it is. That's all it is. Because on the flip side, if I'm like, I'm also gonna judge the chick that's out in the clubs all the time. Like I'm looking at her like, man, that's lame and corny to me. So at the end of the day, like I said, it's subjective and it's relative. You know, so if you consider what I'm doing lame and boring, but then I'm looking at your life in the same light, it's not compatible. It don't match. You know, and at that time, I wasn't really tripping too much though, because I'm like 19, I'm like 18, 19, 20. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of young folk at that age, at that point, like that was the thing to go clubbing and all that type of stuff, to be out all the time. You know, and I was choosing to do the complete opposite. That was rare at that age. That was rare at that age. Like, let's be real. You ain't 19, 20 bypassing clubs and things like that, man. You in the I'm in the prime of my life all the time, but you really in the prime at that point. You know, and for you to just bypass the club and say, man, I'd rather read and you 19 and you 20 and you semi get attention when you go places, like that was like different. You know, so I got it, I understood it, I wasn't mad at it. I wasn't expecting for a 19-year-old, you know what I'm saying, young person to understand that at that time. But now, like in the 30s and 40s, like, nah, that's when it's dead. Like 30s and 40s, you talking about turning up every other night, that's dead. You need to reevaluate your life. But 1920, man, when I'm sitting back and I'd rather that's the right thing to do. But I understand it too, man. You 1920, man, you about to be out here clubbing, doing all this other nonsense for the most part. Very select few of 19, 20-year-olds actually about to take life seriously like I did at that point and start making some of the changes I made. You know, so I understood some of the criticism at that time. People just wasn't ready. And that's why I had a lot of people that knew me back in the day have reached back out to me now and was like, man, you tried to get us to be on this, that, and the third, but we wasn't ready at the time. We was too young. That's what folks done told me. I done had plenty of folks come back into my life, like add me back on social media and just hit me up like, man, I should have listened to you back when we was in college, or I should have listened to you right when we graduated. You was trying to put us on game, but we just was young, just wasn't ready. So I got it at the time. But man, now in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and all of that and beyond, like, man, get your mind right. Get your mind right. At this stage in the game, I'm not calling people lame and corny. Like, I don't use that to describe a person in their 30s and 40s for doing something that, you know what I'm saying, unless it's destructive, that's when I call it lame. But if you just would rather not go out and stay at the crib and watch movies or something and read books, like, I'm no longer calling that type of behavior lame. Like, we got to grow up at some point. Chris, appreciate that donation again. You know, and with that too, like, it's a lot of different factors too. Now, and again, now this is what we also got to start doing too. Let's shout out the women that don't gravitate towards them type of dudes, because you got plenty of them. I feel like at times we tend to overly focus on the women that be gravitating towards the dudes that's no good, and we don't shine any light on the women that's not gravitating towards these type of dudes. Whether we think the percentage is small or not, we should always take time out to shout out those women that, hey, gave the lame dude a chance. You know what I'm saying? The lame dude gave the corny dude a chance. Plenty of them out here. A lot of times though, unfortunately, when you fit the description, a lot of times we was chasing the wrong woman or the wrong girl at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of times that was happening. So we gotta all understand. We gotta understand the dynamics of all of this. You know, like I said, man, if I'm in a situation and I'm analyzing a chick and she already let me know what type of dude she like, and I don't fit that description, why would I try to talk to her? I'm not gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna do it. So as men, we got to understand that too. A lot of times dudes don't be getting that memo. Like, she just lets you know what type of dude she after. You don't fit that description. Keep pushing. That ain't the one. I done had to advise several dudes on that type of vibe. Like, bro, she don't like that type of dude. This ain't the type of stuff that she into, bro. You might want to stop pursuing that, or else she gonna end up using you, abusing you, things like that. So we got to be smarter with our pursuit, just like we say they do. Because I done seen a bunch of brothers take that L, pursuing a woman that already let you know what she on, you know, and then they get with her, and then she start using them, and then they get to cry. They all surprised. I'm like, bro, she let you know that, like, you this type of dude, and if she gets with this type of dude, she just gonna use them, and you got with her anyway, knowing that. You know, so we gotta watch that, man. It's called discernment, fam. If she letting you know that she feel like a certain type of dude is lame and corny, and you fit that description, and you get with her, she gonna use you, fam. She gonna use you like she's using you, bro. You know, you gotta understand that. But like I said, man, shout out to the sisters that don't necessarily gravitate towards the destructive black male. You know, and then I also see, we can't talk about this dynamic without talking about their involvement in it in regards to what they display via the media. The image of the black man that they typically gave our sisters growing up of the black man was a destructive one. You know, and that destructive black man, like, unfortunately, when they would show us in certain lights, notice when you was like a successful black man on TV for the most part, minus maybe George Jefferson, like you were struggling out here, you know. But then when they show like the dope dealers and whatnot, and all the rappers and all the people that's talking about destroying the community, they was living a flashy life. Yeah, they was living flashy. You know, you go to Sanford and Son, man, they had the junk business. And look how they was living. Look at their crib. It wasn't nothing flashy about it, but they was entrepreneurs though. They were successful. Father and son was very successful, but that ain't how it was painted. That's not how it was painted. They had their own business, but look how they was living. It wasn't painted like that, fam. Even with good times, they lived in the projects, you know. But then when you go watch stuff about dope dealers, is the whole thing, the whole perspective shifts. We live in flashy. We able to afford everything. We living on the best side of town. That's how they did us. This is one of the reasons why these sisters grew up gravitating towards these things. They wouldn't show us in the best of lights. And let me go back. It was George Jefferson and probably Bill Cosby. Those are like the only two that I think of. Or like the dude. And then, I ain't gonna even lie, like Bill Cosby was kind of like soft. You know, Claire Huxtable used to get that man to work on that show for real. They made Bill look kind of weak on that joint, if we being honest. But those are the two dudes that I could think of that they was doing cool. They wasn't out here doing destructive things, and they still had, you know, nice homes and nice lives and things like that. But other than that, man, we had bad representation. Or we might have had good representation, but they didn't make it look pretty, like Sanford and Son. Owning our own business, but it's not looking flashy. It's not looking great. So let's be real. The image that the media has given our sisters, that they gave our sisters over time of the black man, wasn't the best image. So what you think they're gonna gravitate towards? If all they seeing is black men being destructive on the television screen, and we all know how influential that screen is, or the radio, what y'all think they're gonna grow up and want? Without them even knowing it. So we got to understand that. Hell, we as men, we fell victim to that. We growing up and we seeing all these video vixens. You know what I'm saying? We seeing all these video vixens, and that's what we at. We want that. We want somebody that look like the chick we saw in the video. We want a chick that we saw. We want a chick that's built like the chick we saw in the video. We didn't watch BET Uncut or something. We saw some chicks in the video. We want a chick that's built like that. So it affected all of us. And the unfortunate thing about a lot, especially with the rappers, like a lot of them don't even live that type of lifestyle. They rap about it, but they don't live that type of lifestyle. So the media, man, it influenced a lot of us in regards to what we found was attractive. The wife is in the building. Y'all say peace to the wife. But we gotta understand that, man, the media influenced a lot of what we thought was attractive. So that's on both sides. Y'all know y'all had y'all favorite video vixens, or y'all know y'all had them. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all had that. You know, so that tampered with our minds growing up a little bit. You know, they all gave us a certain standard of beauty. This affected our sisters too. Our sisters thought they had to look like the white folks because they gave them the European standard of beauty. You know what I'm saying? So they had a bunch of our sisters out here striving to look like white folks, doing all unnecessary stuff to their hair and whatnot, messing with their skins, things like that. So they gave us a certain standard of beauty. They had everybody gravitating towards this standard of beauty. It affected us all. It affected us all. It caused a lot of us to lose ourselves, lose touch with who we are. My brother Terenzo, appreciate that donation for sure. And man, that's what they say, man. Like I tell people, hey, one man's trash can be another man's treasure, for sure. I was breaking something similar. I was breaking something like that down to one of my clients, man. I told him, I said, man, look, a food that can elevate your health can destroy the health of the next person. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how That's how crazy life is. A food that can elevate your health can take the next person out. Prime example, you got certain foods like a nightshade food like tomatoes and peppers and eggplants. These are predominantly healthy foods, but certain people, if you got like arthritis or something, some of those foods can actually tamper with the arthritis and make it worse. So that's what's crazy about it. You know what I mean? Like they say, another man's trash, another man's treasure. It's right and exact. Just like you can have a healthy food that could actually contribute to the decline of somebody else's health, like tomatoes, eggplants, bell peppers. They fall in the nightshade family. These joints could be unhealthy. And I think potatoes, they could be unhealthy towards a person with arthritis. But if you don't have the arthritis, man, them foods could be good to go. Got all type, vitamin A, got all type of joints and nutrients that you need. So it's crazy, man. Like that's life for sure, though. Pooh for sure. And let's be real too. A lot of us as young men, we fell victim to that image as well. We wanted to rap, we wanted to play ball, all that type of good stuff because we thought that was the only way out. So a lot of us fell victim to that. But man, Sanford and Son is a good example, man. They were entrepreneurs to the core. We slept on that. But again, they didn't make their lives all flashy or whatnot. So it wasn't attractive. But man, that's a family business. You got father and son having a business. Father and son having a business right there in our face. You know, they had junk though. They could have gave them another business. They could have did that, but they knew what they was doing. You know, they could have gave them dudes another business, but they gave them the junk business. The symbolism behind the Sanford and Son is crazy, giving them a junk business. Just think about that. Out of all the businesses they could have possibly gave these dudes, they give them the junk business. They in the business of junk. That's symbolism, man. Symbolism at its finest. But it's all good though. We could not focus on that. Just focus on the part that they was entrepreneurs. They had their own business. Like for real. Father and son. And there go the wife started asking questions and things like that. Video vixens and things like that. Man, we grew up in the era. I grew up in the era where when it came to female rappers and things like that, it was a select few. I was in regards to the like I wasn't no Lil Kim fan and whatnot. The only one that semi caught my attention at the time was like Trina. As far as growing up and things like that. If I'm gonna answer that question, like if I'm gonna keep it real at that time, and mind you, man, I'm what 9, 10. We ain't had no big, you know what I'm saying? You ain't had no business listening to some of the stuff she was saying, but man, knew every, you know what I'm saying? You knew those songs. You know, had no business, man, but knew the songs, all that type of good stuff. Eddie, appreciate that super sticker for sure. Man, Pooh, I'm trying to tell you, they could have gave him any business. You know what I'm saying? Could have gave him any business. And then it's just like the symbol, man, when you really just tap into the symbolism, like I said, good times, they stayed in the projects and whatnot. You know what I mean? Even the Jeffersons. Just look how trash they made. Like, look how trash they made George Jefferson though. Like, as far as just like his character. Like, I mean, he was funny to me, but it's like just look how they made that dude. Like, look how they did that character. You know what I'm saying? But for real, like I wasn't there. I wasn't caught up on all them because I even back then, like I used to like Lauryn Hill and Badu and all them. Like even back then. But hey, I don't Badu be on some other stuff now, man. I don't be too much caring for her now. Yeah, she be on some other stuff, bro. But I used to like them back in the day, even though they wasn't the typical European standard of beauty and all that, and they want the trashy image that they wanted us to see. But I did used to fool with them back in the day for sure, though. North Asia, St. Louis for sure. Man, I'm trying to tap into the comments, man. I'm missing all type of comments. Nisi for sure, 100%. You know, 100%. And man, I tell people all the time, even when she came across me, man, I wasn't really studying anybody. She could tell you, everybody they could vouch for it. The people that knew me back then can vouch for it, man. I was on a path, man. I was studious, man. And I wasn't getting sidetracked. You know what? Wasn't nobody knocking me off my square, man. I was like focused. I was focused, fam. Like I was focused, like knowledge of myself, all of that, man. I was studying lessons. I was reading, like I was tapped in to school, man. But I was focused 100%. You know, and I was changing the way that I was eating, like all of that. You know, at a very young age. And a lot of people, she could even tell you, a lot of my people at that time thought I was just going through a phase and thought that I was gonna snap out of this phase. I'm like, nah, this real life. You know, I'm reading the book. This book right here, man, it's one of my favorite athletes, of all time. Underrated. I always like the underdog. But Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. His name before that was Chris Jackson, one of the most underrated basketball players on the planet. And before we had Colin Kaepernick, you had this brother. But man, I'm reading this book right now. That book just came out, and he talked about when he first converted to like Islam, right when he got drafted to the NBA, and the chick that he was with at the time. Like I can't remember. Like they had got married. They had just got married, and he had laid it on her right before they got married. He was like he thinking about converting to Islam, becoming a Muslim, and he was like her initial reaction was like, man, why would you want to do that? He was like she met it with some hostility. You know what I'm saying? She was hostile towards him becoming a Muslim, and he was like, at that moment, he should have ended it. He should have never went through with the wedding because of the way that she met it with resistance. Instead of asking him like, what made you gravitate towards that? You know, he was like, he wasn't necessarily trying to convert her over, but he was like, man, she was hostile instantly. You know, and to make a long story short, he ended up marrying the chick. And then he converted to Islam, became a Muslim, you know, and they had their little conversation. You know how it is. Muslims, the women got to be modest in regards to how they dress, things like that. She wasn't going. And then he said he was having a conversation with her one night, and he was like, all right, and they had already talked about divorce, you know, so that was going to happen. So he had asked her, he said, look, what would you like as far as like, you know, for the divorce settlement, things like that. And instantly she said $1 million. Instantly. Mind you, he had just got drafted. He was like the number 3 pick in the draft. He said he wasn't even making that a year. So mind you, he was on his rookie contract. So he wasn't even sitting on $1 million yet. He wasn't even making that yet. But she instantly said she wanted $1 million instantly. And dude was like, you must think I'm a fool. He was like, look, you could keep the car. He said he had bought her a Mercedes. And this is like 1990. Dude got drafted the year I was born. So this is 1990. So $1 million in 1990 is like $10 million now, 20 million. It might be more. But this is 1990. He said he bought her a Mercedes. He told her she could keep the house. And he said he would he would pay off her tuition, and he would keep a nice amount of money in her bank account. But no, she wanted the $1 million. she wanted the $1 million. All because the brother didn't convert it over to Islam. You know what I'm saying? That was the deal breaker right there. He didn't convert it over to Islam. About to become a Muslim. You know, and then they ended up going to court because he basically told her, he said, look, the only way you finna get this out of me is through court, because I'm not giving you the $1 million. You know, so they ended up going to court, and he said he felt railroaded, you know, by his representation at the time. I feel like they was working behind his back. So they ended up settling for $600,000. I said, that's still crazy. They divorced, the settlement was $600,000. It was like they weren't even married that long. They didn't have no kids, none of that. She still got $600,000. After he done already told her, man, you can keep this car I gave you. You can keep this crib, nice crib we got. Boom. I pay for your tuition, and I keep a nice amount of money in your bank account. Still took this man to court, still got $600,000. They ain't got no kids, no nothing. and she still got 600,000 simply because she married, bro. Like, my goodness. 600,000, like, I'm almost understanding if you getting 600,000 and y'all got kids and y'all got the joint. I'd have been more understanding of that. But 600,000 simply because y'all divorced? Like, what is going on? Hey, I recommend this book 100%, man. This book got me glued. But that I found that was crazy. He was like, when he was thinking about becoming a Muslim, I mean, he became a Muslim, but he was like, right when he came across the information and got inspired to become a Muslim, he ran it by her. He was like instantly met with some hostility, you know, and he was just like, that was like, he should have noticed some red flags initially. And he was like, he ignored them joints and went on with the marriage anyway, you know, and he was like, that was just his fault for going through with it. He should have paid more attention to these red flags and acted on them. Yeah, Mark. Yeah, Tourette, man. And he breaking some stuff down I ain't even know about that syndrome for real. Yeah, TJ, he was Steph Curry before Steph. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to dude. But the NBA, they railroaded, they railroaded that brother. He can't notice, mind you, if you know anything about dude, the crazy thing about him, man, he had came on right when 9/11 had happened. He got drafted about 1990. So 2001, that's 11 years. Like, you still got some years left. But this dude came on, did an interview. They asked him about 9/11. He basically said 9/11 was an inside job. he didn't get placed on the team after that. He was done. When he said he thought 9/11 was an inside job, I think he got either released from his contract or a team was thinking about signing him and they didn't sign him. But he said 9/11 was an inside job, and the NBA said, no, sir. No, sir. We done with him. After he refused to stand for the national anthem, then they negotiated with him and said, all right, if you stand, then you got to do the prayer hands like the Muslims. But then when he said 9/11 was an inside job, that was it. And that's right and exact. That's right and exact. 9/11 was an inside job. But he lost his career was over after that one. You can't say that. Oh, no. 9/11, who told you saying 9/11 was an inside job? You got to go. Nope, you ain't getting no contract after that. My brother Antonio P. No, I ain't watched the documentary yet. I got to tap in, though. But, man, I always been a fan of dude, though. But bro said 9/11 was an inside job, and that's it. That was it for him. So I wonder, is that corny? And I wonder, is that lame? You know what I'm saying? When we start telling the truth about the government, you know what I'm saying? When we tell you 9/11 was an inside job. Is that corny? Is that lame for a black man to I guess, risk his whole, you know what I'm saying, the way he makes his livelihood to tell the truth? Is that lame? Is that corny? So, you know, was Malcolm X lame? Was Malcolm X corny? Was Colin Muhammad lame? Was Colin Muhammad corny? I need to know. Was Huey Newton them? Was they lame? Was they corny? Like, somebody let me know. Was these dudes corny? Like, I need to know. You know, if I get up and I'll be like, boom, you know, I'm one of the best in my profession, and I get up and I'm putting that all on the line and say, look, I'm finna tell the truth about the U.S. government, about this system. Does that make me lame? Does that make me corny? Because I stand for something as a man? Somebody let me know. Somebody let me know. Does that make a black man lame? Does that make a black man corny? Because we stand for something. You know what I'm saying? We stand for something. That's what I want to know. And you know, to be honest with y'all, I'm gonna drop a jewel. I don't even think I'm gonna drop a jewel. When black men stand up and tell the truth, I don't think black women necessarily think it's lame and corny. That they may use those words, but when a black man stands up and tell the truth, I think they are afraid of what could potentially happen to him if they get with him. Like, and I think this is like a generational thing. You know, that's been passed down. So I feel like subconsciously, when that sister see that brother tell the truth like that, like, it's a fear that hits her. Like, man, this dude gonna get us all killed, or this dude gonna get himself killed, and I ain't gonna have no man in my life. But the irony of that is she'll go gravitate towards a street dude, which is stupid. You know what I'm saying? But I honestly feel like when we start telling that truth, when we start speaking like that in regards to the government, they be like, hold up. Hold on. Because even back in the day, I had people tell me that. Like I had young ladies telling me that back in the day, not the ones that were trying to talk to me, just in general. Like, man, you talking about that? They don't like when you talk about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, it's some type of fear behind that. But again, like I said, the irony of it all is they still go talk to a dude that's living the street life. Like, that's the whole irony of that situation. But I feel like sometimes you gotta fear though. Like when a black man stands up and tell the truth, sisters might not necessarily view that as lame. They might be afraid for that brother though. You know, but we can't be walking around with that fear. You know what I'm saying? We can't walk around with that fear, man. Hey, we gotta tell the truth. We gotta stand on our principles as black men, and we gotta accept everything that comes with that. You know, for real, we gotta accept everything that comes with that. And it's understandable, honestly. Like if you a sister and you don't want to talk to a dude that's on some Malcolm X vibes, I'm honestly not mad at you, because it's a lot that can come your way because of that. It's a lot that can come towards your family's way because of that association. So I ain't mad at that. You know, it takes time for a sister to like be accepting of that. Because let's face it, when you a black man and you speak the truth on public platforms, like that could end a bunch of different ways for you. You know, that can go a bunch of different ways. So that should be understandable. If she haven't, you know what I'm saying, if she's second guessing that relationship and that situation. Because man, that might end badly. You know what I mean? Because you speaking that truth. They don't like that. So they gonna come after you. Prime example, Chris Jackson. I believe after he spoke about 9/11, either during that time, either before or after, like I think his apartment burned down, or wherever he was living had burned down. You know what I'm saying? So ironically enough, his crib burned down after he didn't start speaking the truth. You know what I'm saying? So his crib burns down. See, this is the type of stuff you got to deal with. When you start speaking the truth and you are a public figure and you a black man, ain't no telling what's gonna happen to you. Ain't no telling what'll happen to you. Crib burned down mysteriously. Ain't nobody got any answers for you. Crib burned down. The cops be all up on you. You know that, man, the feds all up on you, man. They just messing with you. And they gonna mess with anybody that's close to you. Some women ain't ready for that life. You know, speaking, hey, like I said, man, it's a hard road. It's a hard road. It's a hard road. When you start speaking the truth as a black man, it's a tough road. It's a tough road. Professor Griff, man, they burned his joints down with all his books in there. I never, you know what I'm saying? But all these dudes, a lot of these dudes, they cribs been burnt down. Mysteriously enough. But like I said, we know who behind it though. You know, so when you associate yourself with a man that stands on that ain't afraid to speak the truth, man, you got to be constantly watching your back. It's almost the equivalent to the street life, just on the political level though. The political level is not too far removed from the street life. It's all the same. The biggest gang is the government. You know what I'm saying? That's the biggest gang for real. You know, so you going up against the biggest gang, the biggest dope dealers. When you dealing with it, when you going against the government, you know what I mean? Like that. Dealing with the little street level beef ain't got nothing on dealing with the government, fighting with the government. You know what I mean? Like you going against them dudes. So you got to be ready. You got to have all your ducks in a row. Mentally, you got to be sharp, man. You got to be prepared for everything that'll come your way. Because again, man, they gonna try to assassinate your character, all that. They gonna make you look crazy. All of this good stuff, man, all because you may have questions. You know what I mean? All because you may have suspicions. You know, you're not accepting everything that they show you. that can cause a lot of havoc in your life. You know, a lot of doors will close right in your face, you know, and that's the unfortunate reality. You know, and shout out to the sisters that's understanding of that. You know, and that's why, hey, that's why I stand on what I stand on, man. I'm gonna always represent the truth to the best of my ability. I'm gonna always represent it to the best of my ability. You know, I'm staying studious, you know, always striving to learn. But at the same time, I'd be a fool if I move the same way as the people before me. So I gotta learn. I gotta learn from their mistakes, so that the same things that happen to them won't happen to me. So that's another thing we gotta learn. That's the reason why history exists in the first place, for us to learn from it. You know, if we not learning from history, then what are we doing? It's serving no purpose. You know, we gotta learn from history. All right, brother Malcolm moved like this, I gotta move like that. You know, brother Huey and them move like this, I gotta move like that. So we gotta analyze how they moved back in the day, and we gotta make adjustments. A lot of times we try to move exactly like dudes, and we end up in the same type of predicament. We can't do that. It's a certain way that we got to drop this information. This is a certain way that we got to drop this truth now, you know, so we can stay alive. Name of the game, we got to stay alive so that the message can continue to get out here. We can't keep allowing them to kill us off. So we got to move a different way, you know, and learn from the people before us, as I always say. You know, so that's one of the reasons why I stay studious, man. You got to be strategic with it. You can't let them know, you can't announce everything all the time on these platforms. You know, that's how they be getting us. We announce everything on these platforms. We feel like these platforms got to know everything, all our whereabouts, what we doing next, what we doing the next 20 seconds, what we doing the next hour. Like, no, they don't need to know all these things. Where we going out to eat, like, man, they ain't got to know everything, man. So, you know, we ain't got to tell these platforms all this. You know, so we got to stop being victims to technology for sure. We feel like we got to tell social media everything, man. We feel like if we ain't tell social media, it didn't happen. That's how we feel. Like mugs can't even do genuine good deeds these days because they gotta do it for the gram. You know what I mean? Do it for the book. Like, yeah, you did this good deed, but now I don't even know if you genuinely wanted to do that because you made this whole you did this whole video about it. Like, that don't look genuine now. It look like you did it for views. Look like you did it for likes. You know, I done did a lot of good deeds, but people don't see them because I don't pull out my phone when I'm doing a good deed. You know what I mean? Like, I done did plenty of good deeds, man. But hey, I ain't got it documented, so people probably think I'm not doing it. Man, I ain't got to document everything, man. I ain't. Why? 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 The wife with a question, she say, were you ever called lame or corny by females that you were interested in? If so, for what reasons did they call you lame or corny? See, that's what I was talking about earlier. I don't recall, like, to my knowledge, ever being told that to my face, nor did I even have word travel around that I got called lame or corny. If anything, what they say back then, they didn't want me, now I'm hot, they all on me. What they say, if anything, I was just getting rejected off of because I'm embracing my nappy hair. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I ain't never really get called lame or corny until I maybe got older a little bit and stopped fooling with like the clubs and whatnot. And then you would get labeled boring. But I don't recall getting labeled lame or corny, you know, because I feel like I was always in the middle. You know, I knew a lot of people from that so-called lame crowd. That wasn't necessarily my crowd, you know, and I knew a bunch of people that was out here doing bad, that was living the street life. I was cool with a lot of them, you know, so I was able to adapt and adjust to all these different crowds. So I feel like I was pretty balanced, you know what I mean? So I ain't never really get called lame or corny. And plus I was good at sports, you know what I'm saying? So when you good at sports, that label automatically leaves you. Like when you good at sport, when you good at basketball, good at football, like when you stand out athletically, 9 times out of 10, you're not ever gonna get called lame or corny. when you are an athlete, you know. So I was an athlete for as long as I can remember. So that in and of itself eliminated the lame and corny label for me a lot of times. You know, so I ain't never really get hit with that label. If anything, I would get called boring. Back like when I had started reading and stuff like that, when I drew up that interest. Because like I said, back in school, like I was naturally book smart, but I wasn't never like when I would go, like I wasn't never at home reading and doing all that type of stuff. You know, I'm hooping, I'm playing basketball, I'm playing a game or something, but I wasn't never like that with it. You know, I knew the so-called nerds and whatnot. I ain't fit with them. I was cool with them, but I ain't fit with them. You know, because I wasn't into that. I was naturally smart. Then I got to high school and just started tripping. You know, so I definitely wasn't getting called lame and corny when I was in high school, like at all. But I ain't never get hit with that label, like at all. Because like I say, I was good at sports. That right there overshadows all of that. When you good at sports, because you gotta think about it. When you a young black male and you a young black woman, all you see, your avenues towards success is rapping, or playing ball, or dealing drugs and things like that. So when I was good at playing ball, automatically, the young girl's probably thinking he gonna make something of himself because he good at basketball. And then he get to high school, he excelling in football. So they automatically probably thinking, all right, dude gonna be something, you know. So when you a jock, as they call it, like you're not gonna get called lame for real like that. You could be the lamest dude on the planet for real, but if you good at a sport, if you stand out at that sport, man, like unfortunately, the young girls gonna flock to you because of that. So I was always good at some sport. You know, I was always good at sport. You know, and on top of that, like I said, like I just had a well-balanced personality at the time. So I ain't never get called lame or corny. That I can remember. You know, if I did, I don't remember it. I just remember boring, you know, when I got older, because I wasn't trying to be out here like that. And the crazy part, I get called boring by people that knew me, like knew what I used to do, like was always out here, you know, with the car, with all the beats and things like that. Like I stayed out here, I stayed drawing that attention to myself, you know. But once I slowed down with all that, I get called boring by the people that knew me. Oh man, you didn't got boring now. And Firm Media, peace, appreciate that donation for sure. But yeah, I ain't, because I ain't gonna lie to you, like by definition of the individuals that was labeled nerds back in the day, like I wasn't really that. Like I can't say that was me. I was naturally book smart up until I got to high school. Then I that went out the window. So by definition, in high school, I couldn't be qualified as a nerd because my grades was trash. I was out here doing a bunch of nonsense. So in high school, the nerd, I didn't read, I didn't do none of that. So I couldn't even be labeled a nerd back then if I wanted to, because I just didn't do the things that the nerds did. Like from kindergarten through like 8th grade, I was on honor roll. I was just smart, but I really wasn't doing nothing. Like I wasn't reading. I was just smart. Like the stuff was easy. Then I got to high school, I ain't care about none of that. I ain't care about none of that. You know, but I would never a dude that was like a kid that went home and couldn't wait to read some books. Like, man, that wasn't me. Some of that schoolwork just came easy to me. Now, if I would have tapped in back then, I'd probably be unstoppable now. So I slept on myself. Like I ain't understand what was happening. So if I fed that and became that nerd, man, I'd be more powerful. I'd be way more powerful than I am now. But I just thought it was like a person that's naturally athletic, feeling like they don't have to work on their game. Like I was like that intellectually. I felt like I was just naturally smart. So the first time I met a few challenges, like I ain't understand it. So I just gave up and quit and just started doing some nonsense and chasing girls and all that back in high school. You know, so whatever like by definition, in regards to where I was at, I didn't classify as nerd. Like I said, I was like unorthodox. People didn't know, because everybody try to put people in a box. People ain't know what box to put me in. Like I literally, people didn't know what box to put me in. I confused a lot of people. Like people didn't know what box to put me in at all. But hey, I'm proud of my life though. You know, I got suspended one time in elementary school. The one time I got suspended, I fought a white boy. My story is perfect. That's right in alignment with my life. That makes sense. The one time I got suspended in elementary school, I fought a white boy and got him too. We ain't take that L on that. So the one time I got suspended in the 6th grade, I fought a white boy. I don't know what he said to me. I rushed him though. I was the president of the school and everything. Which is again, like I was the president of the school, and the one time I got suspended, I fought a white boy. I was destined to be who I am today. That shows and proves it right there, man. I don't know what that do. I still to this day don't know what he said to me, but he said something to me I ain't like it. I rushed him back. So that was my first time getting suspended. Now, obviously, we fought a lot in the neighborhood, but as far as school, I was cool with everybody, you know. But that one time I got suspended, man, I fought a white boy. He said something I wasn't going for, so boom, there it is. Hey, so y'all should be proud of my story, man. I always been true to this. Even when I ain't even know what I was on it. I grew into myself, man. I didn't have this rebellious energy for the longest. I just didn't know what it was back in the day when I was a child. Eileen, peace. What's happening? Terenzo, crazy that called intimidating. Now that's something I didn't got called that a few times. People that told me, apparently, like people told me, like they thought I was mean or they thought I was stuck up. I ain't never, normally a chick get that label, like, oh, I thought you was stuck up. Man, I done had folks from high school that then met back up with me, and like that was probably underneath me. And it was like, man, yeah, I thought you was mean. I thought you was stuck up. All because I ain't talk to people like that, man. I ain't rock with people. So they thought I was stuck up. They thought I was mean. I'm cool with it. Whatever prevents people from talking to me, I was cool with it. But yeah, people told me that though. I got labeled that. People thought I was like mean, and they thought I was like stuck up, or they thought I didn't care about a lot, which that was true. That was true. Yeah, that was true though. But I didn't got called intimidating. I didn't got called mean and stuff like that. Yeah, I got called that. Now I didn't been labeled that. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I didn't got them labels. I ain't gonna even lie to you. You know what I'm saying? I didn't got them labels for sure. I didn't got called mean, all that. Dread Mike, you say got suspended from elementary, middle, and high school for fighting. Yeah, for sure. I did a lot of my fighting in the neighborhood and things like that. Yeah. Because I used to have a short temper, so they used to provoke me in the neighborhood because they knew what type of reaction they'd get from me, So that was unfortunate. Darlene, I'm trying to tell you, man, I was depressed too, because I didn't want to be at the school I was at. They was trying to get me to cut my hair. You know what I'm saying? So I was depressed too. Most I was straight mean and stuck up. I'm like, yeah, I'm mad. I'm angry, depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like they ain't stuck up. They try to get me to cut my hair, man. I'm depressed, man. But yeah, most thought I was stuck up and mean. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Like that's like for real, man. How people view me really don't be phasing me. Like it never really phased me. I grew out of that instant. Like when I got to the tail end of high school, maybe even my sophomore year, I stopped caring what folks was thinking, man. I don't care what y'all think. I'm finna do me. I'm finna be me regardless. Hey, Chris, for sure. Yeah, man. I swung first on this one. I unloaded on the white boy. I don't know what he did. I rushed it. It's almost like the ancestors took over my body when this white dude said something to me. Man, I don't know what. Man, I rushed this dude with some stuff. I don't know what. Man, it was crazy. You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. I swear to y'all, I feel like the ancestors took over my body, man, because I don't know what that dude said. It probably wasn't even that serious. But man, I felt some type of way, man. I rushed that white dude, man. It was like I was moving like flat, man, speed of lightning. I was on him quick. Don Core, man, I'm trying to tell when you quiet, I'm pretty sure all the quiet introverted people can relate. When you quiet, you done got labeled mean, you done got labeled stuck up. When you were introvert, you done got labeled all of that. You know what I'm saying? I used to get that all the time. All because I done got irritated because you keep talking to me. Now I'm mean. But like, man, you ain't gotta keep talking to me. I'm trying to go to sleep in class and you keep talking to me. Like, let me sleep, you know? So leave me alone. Zaru, my brother, peace, appreciate that donation. Devontae, without me going back into that, because people get mad when I keep talking about that situation in high school. They wanted me to cut my hair because it was, let's be real, it was too many black folk, because I transferred from public high school to private high school. You know, and the school that they didn't like all these young black kids coming to their school. So y'all know how they do it. They put rules in place to try to eliminate that and get them to go back from whence they came. You know, so a lot of us was growing locks not even a lot of us, you know, select few of us was growing locks at the time. The select few of us that was growing locks, they didn't too much like us. So they put a rule in place for males back then that said we couldn't have hair past our collar. Mind you, my hair was already past my collar. You know, they made that rule at my high school the year after I transferred. So I transferred there my sophomore year of high school. Going into that junior year, that's when they implemented this rule that boys can't have hair past their collar. What does that sound like to y'all? Like the year after I transferred, they make that rule. But I ain't gonna spend too much time on that. We already know what the system be on. As y'all can see, they didn't win. I kept my hair, you know, so it's all good. But I had to deal with that early. You know what I'm saying? Like, people don't be understanding when people be talking about, when bringing up these articles, be like, man, they try to make people cut their hair in the workplace. I'm like, I dealt with that in high school. JL, we're gonna put that on the screen because he actually did go to my high school. So I got somebody live in the flesh that can confirm what I said. He actually went to high school with me. You know what I'm saying? And he was underneath me. So again, if people think I be lying, here goes some evidence right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went to my high school. You know what I'm saying? So he can bear witness to what I'm saying being an actual fact. Muggs thought I was mean at that joint. Muggs thought I was mean. Like, for real. Like, he ain't the first person from my high school that they told me that. I must have been walking around that mud like I was Debo. Like, I can't even remember, but I just remember I wasn't the friendliest person on the planet. You know, I can tell you that for sure. But once the right person was talking to me, I was cool. But I wasn't finna go out of my way to be having conversations with folks. You know, and then when I played sports, I was the same way, man. I wasn't talking to dudes. You know, my actions were everything. I had outbursts. You know, I got into it with the basketball coach. I punched the chair on him. You know, I had all type of, man. People don't understand, man. I didn't have some issues. Mug see me now and be thinking I didn't had everything under control. I'm disciplined, man. I didn't got into a bunch of, I didn't been in some situations. Got into it with the basketball coach. Bam, punched the chair, walked out on him. Wanted to punch him, but I wasn't finna do all that. Punched the chair. Basketball coach said something to me. I ain't like it. Wow, walked out, smacked that chair. Oh, that chair went flying. I smacked it, walked out on him. You know, so I didn't have my fair share of like interactions with authority figures going off on them and about coming to blows. Like, I didn't have my fair share of that. You know, but yeah, I used to walk around, man. Muggs thought I was mean, man. And to a degree, you might be right. Cause I'm not, you know, I'm not rocking with everybody, you know. So to a degree, it's some truth in that. You know, I'm not friendly to everybody. If I don't too much care for you, like I'm not, it's so hard for me to hide it on my face. You know, but I didn't got into it with a lot of authority figures. I stayed getting into it with the adults around me, man. I had no problem with all that. You know, so I didn't got semi better with it. I didn't got semi better with it, man. But it was rough back in the day. But you know, yeah, like I had my situations back in the day. Like I'll probably mean to certain people. I ain't even gonna front. Like if you got on my nerves, like yeah, I got a few people that I can bring them on this thing and they can tell you what happened, like when people got on my nerves, which sometimes it don't take much to do that. So something that might be light to you got on my nerves and I done went off on you. I had plenty of times like that, like, dude, chill out, you know, and it might be something light, but I ain't going. But yeah, so I would say I got labeled those things more than anything, like mean and stuck up. You know, so that yeah, I got labeled those things, but I was cool with it. Hey, when people label you as mean, that's perfect for an introvert. People don't understand that. Let me give y'all a jewel real quick. When you label an introvert as mean, that's perfect for us because that means you're not about to approach me. That's exactly what I want. So when you view me as mean and you don't approach me because you thought I was mean, I'm winning. You know what I mean? So like that's perfect. You know, an introvert, that's an introvert, like that's our dream. For folks to view us in a certain type of light to where they don't approach us because they don't think we approachable. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. If you think I'm mean and you don't approach me, man, you have made my day. So I'll be fine with it. When you think I'm anything that causes you not to approach me, that's lovely. I'm not gonna do anything to change your mind. I'm not gonna do anything to change your mind because I'm just fine if you do not approach me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just fine. So I'm gonna give y'all that jewel about introverts. When you call an introvert mean, you are actually doing us a favor because you're probably not going to approach us. That's beautiful. We could probably be the nicest people on the planet. Be the nicest person on the planet. But you think I'm mean because I don't talk. But that's fine because I don't have to have a conversation with you now. Isaiah for sure. I ain't even gonna lie, Isaiah. I ain't even gonna act. I ain't even gonna say I love everybody equally. I ain't gonna lie to you. I know I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it real. But hey, but peace to you, Isaiah, my brother. But I tell you right now, I do not love everybody equally. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I ain't even gonna lie. Devontae, yeah, for 100%. I ain't care for the environment at all. You know what I'm saying? Like once they start messing with the hair and all that type of stuff, once they start like messing with me, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm ready to get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? Don Corey leave you alone big time. I'll be cool. D Monty, it builds character for sure. Hey Dominique, man, I'm trying to tell you. I used to tell people, man, don't people be thinking stuff sweet because you might be smaller, you know, you might be quiet, but hey, I all I can say was I was able to be pretty much the smallest dude in locker rooms and things like that. And I ain't never faced a situation where dudes was picking on me. You know, y'all know how I go when you a senior playing football and you got a freshman playing football and you got the seniors and the juniors. They mess with the none of this stuff ever happened to me because I carry myself in a certain way. And that's why I always when I see some young bulls and I see that like they smaller and things like that, like I always try to talk to them, man. You gotta stand up for yourself. You know, one thing I ain't gonna tolerate, I ain't gonna let no young boy be weak. I ain't gonna let it, man, because kids will prey on that. You know, so you gotta stand up for yourself. And I can vouch for you. Once you stand up for yourself, man, folks ain't gonna mess with you like that. I was never the biggest guy, always one of the smallest guys in the room, but I never got messed with like that. Like they throwing other freshmen in trash cans, doing all that. They walking right past me. And I'm in the same class as some of these dudes. Like, we ain't going. You try to throw me in the trash can, you finna come in here with me. You know, so hey, I always teach these young folk, man, you gotta defend you, even if you lose the fight, bro, you gotta fight. You gonna gain respect just off of the strength of that. Now, these days, life is different. But back in my day, you know, fight. You know, as long as you fought, you earn the respect of folk. When dudes know that they can mess with you and you're not gonna defend yourself, they gonna mess with you all the time. So if you got a young son, man, you can't. That man listen. He got to stand up for himself, flat out. Got to. You can't have a young son out here afraid to stand up for himself. I'm telling you, the society gonna take advantage of that. Society gonna take advantage of that, you know. So your young bull got to be a fighter. You just got to be. That's what we got to be. We got to defend ourselves, man. Society preys on that. You a man, you don't defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're young, but you don't defend yourself. I'll take all your lunch money. I'm gonna take all your money. I'm gonna take everything from you, and I'm gonna do it every time until you know what I'm saying? Until you defend yourself. You know, but I wasn't going for none of that. I used to tell them instant, like, you would have dudes, you know how you play sports? I'm gonna tell y'all, I've been true to the cause. You know, when you used to play sports, dudes out here smacking dudes on the butt. I used to tell people straight, I used to tell them dudes straight up, I say, bro, don't do that. Like when it'll be one of them dudes that slapping dudes on the ass and whatnot, because we had some playful dudes. And I used to always tell, bro, the dudes that was on that, hey, bro, don't do that. I'm like, I don't do none of that. You know, and if dude did that, if he tried to do it, we fight. You know what I'm saying? I ain't go for none of that. Like if I didn't go for something, I told, hey, bro, don't play with me like that, bro. I don't do none of that. Don't slap me on that. Like, I don't care if that's what you do. I don't do that. So Muzz wasn't finna do that. Muzz see me be like, okay, yep, we not doing it. I'm not, don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't play like that. I don't do none of that goofy stuff. I ain't never been about none of that goofy business. You know, so again, man, you gotta stand on something. I've always stood on some principles, and you gotta stand firm on those principles. But man, nah, like I told people instantly, like, bro, don't do that. I ain't going. Like, oh, y'all out here, y'all messing with the freshmen, cool, but I ain't one of that. I'm not going. I'm gonna fight. You know what I'm saying? It's all that. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I gotta make my rounds. I gotta get back up to this gym. Hey, this was a live chat, live stream, man. We did some building. Appreciate all the donations, all the comments, all the love, man. It's always peace dealing with y'all. I don't know when I'm gonna go live next. I gotta finish up this book. Go get this book, man. It's one of the most underrated athletes of all times, man. Mahmoud Abdul Rauf. Chris Jackson was his name back in the day before he changed it. But man, this is a great book, man. Go and grab this book. It shouldn't take you that long to read it. But I'm gonna be finishing this joint up. You know, when I finish this joint up, I might tap back in. So it might be on the weekend, might be Monday. But man, whenever I decide to tap back in, y'all already know, man. I just get up on this joint and get the venting and get to getting things off my chest, man. But I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna let y'all get back to enjoying y'all Thursday. Again, appreciate all the donations, appreciate the love. Y'all be easy out here, man. Y'all stay healthy, get the proper rest. Hey, and turn those dreams into reality. I'm out, y'all. Peace.